Last week in Winnipeg, Manitoba, there was a brutal, violent attack against the Jewish community by a very hateful organization who is clearly anti-Semitic. This is just out from CBC, the most brazen act of anti-Semitism we've ever seen. Winnipeg Jewish community is reeling after attacks at Beer Max Cafe. We have, chalk art being showing up here in support after this assault. Christians are planning vigils for Winnipeg's Jewish community after a woman was attacked. We're talking a woman was physically attacked in this altercation, and a swastika was spray painted on the inside of this cafe. It's hard to believe that, things are escalating in Canada to this degree. Well, it's actually hard to believe, guys, because none of it is true. All of it has been completely fabricated. According to City News here, police say anti-Semitic attack in Winnipeg Cafe was entirely a hoax. Hate crime attack on cafe was staged, the Winnipeg police say, after owners had been charged with mischief. And joining us on the line to help us break down this latest escalation in victimhood, acting, so to speak, is our East Coast correspondent, Leigh Stuart. Leigh, thanks for joining us. This is a pretty wild one, Leigh. We have a cafe in Winnipeg who literally staged a physical altercation, spray painting their own business with swastikas on the inside, calling the police. They even started a GoFundMe page. The whole community was reeling about this, getting behind them, and it turns out the whole thing was a great big hoax. What does this say about the current state of society and how the lengths they're willing to go to play the victimhood in order to gain up some sympathy from society?
Where would they have learned this from? The hijab hoax comes to mind, and as well as Jussie Smollett just most recently getting away with staging a hate crime. Thousands of hours of police time went into this, wasted time, and just for gaining some sort of profit, like you said, money or maybe free advertisement for their cafe. I just, we live in a world now, clown world, as I like to call it, where we live in a perpetual state of victimhood. Mm-hmm. It's just getting ridiculous. And it just baffles me that we now live in a day and age where we can't even believe a real hate crime anymore. Mm-hmm. This takes away from actual hate crimes that could actually be happening. And for someone to stage something like this is absolutely ridiculous. The ramifications of something like this, could start a race war. And mm-hmm. We saw this with Jussie Smollett, and he got away with this. And the dangers of this could actually start a race war or, a religion war, as so to speak. Yeah. It's just careless and absolutely deplorable.
Oh, it's beyond careless and deplorable, irresponsible. It's, as you said, has the potential to spark a great deal of fear in the minds of the masses. And we all know what that can do. It can lead to laws being passed. It can lead to extremely draconian measures. You pointed out the fact that, we've seen this before. Let me pull it up. We'll show people right here. I covered this back in January of last year. The Hijab Scissor hoax, a lesson in propaganda and fake news from the Canadian government, folks. I was trying to show you guys there's a lesson to be learned here, and they're already doing it again. Look at this briefly. This is the girl who was pretending to do this, and the mainstream media covered it like as if it was fact.
No man's walk to school turned into a nightmare when she says a man came up behind her, pulled down the hood of her coat, and cut her hijab.
And I turned around and I saw him with his scissors, and he ran away.
But it wasn't over. No man says she and her brother crossed the street to join a group of kids, but the man followed and cut her hijab
and then,
again.
Justin Trudeau chimes in, and he says this.
My heart goes out to the young girl who was attacked, seemingly for her religion. I can't imagine how afraid she must have been. I want her and her family and her friends and community to know that that is not what Canada is, and that is not who Canadians are.
No, that's right. That's not what Canada is, and that's not what Canadians are, because this whole thing was staged. We're seeing it again. So Leigh, it's like the exact same scenario, as you said, as that other case, the hijab hoax being played out over and over again. Are Canadians going to learn their lesson from this, or do you think they're going to continue to, allow the nonsense to creep into their minds and continue to drum up all this fear?
I encourage everyone to go back and read The Little Boy That Cried Wolf, because this is exactly what's going on here. I bet you $1 million we'll be seeing a rise in fake hate crimes. This is going to encourage people. We've already seen numerous cases of fake hate crimes where people are staging assaults, and it can go the other way as well. It could go to an actual hate crime happening where, we don't believe them anymore because it's the little boy that cried wolf, and serious hate crimes could go unnoticed. It's just a slippery slope, and believing someone without due process and a full investigation. You only hear one side of the media covering this story, and how many people don't hear the follow-up of the fact that this was a fake story. Probably less than half are actually going to still be paying attention to this story, weeks following. So yeah, very dangerous. And like I said, just have your wits about you, and don't believe everything you read on the internet. Take it with a grain of salt, and do some investigation work for yourself. And 9 times out of 10, we'll get the truth.
Well, perhaps a lesson can be learned from the Jussie Smollett case, as you pointed out earlier. If we really look at the timeline of the media's coverage, we can. This may help us with understanding how these things move forward. Let's take a look at this from BBC News. The timeline of the actor's alleged arrest. It was back in January when the alleged incident took place. All of a sudden, there was an outpouring of support for this guy from all sorts of celebrities all over the world. Then the next day, he started refusing to hand over his phone. Oh, that seemed a little weird. Then he speaks out for the first time, saying that he was okay after the incident. Then people started doing a little bit of sleuthing, finding all this kind of footage, and he comes out saying he's the gay Tupac to try to, divert attention away from this. Finally, his phone records were submitted, folks, and then persons of interest was arrested by the police. This led to a subsequent investigation. Then on February 17th, the trajectory of the investigation shifted to being on Smollett himself. Then by February 20th, Jussie Smollett was charged by the police, and it was revealed that, he was working with these people, and it was all just a giant ruse to drum up this race war in the United States. That's essentially what we're seeing take place here today. So we really have to be careful when we see these things about how they're going to play out and how it can lead to potential draconian pieces of legislation, like we have here, in Canada, the Islamophobia legislation. These types of bills are spawned out of these types of fears, and when they're based on nothing, literally a hoax, we have to expose it for what it is. And so this is why we wanted to bring this one to your attention today, folks. CBC was originally saying, as you see here, it was the most brazen act of anti-Semitism, and then the whole community rallied behind these people, and the woman even went to the police about the attack, and sure enough, we find out it's all a hoax. Surprise, surprise, yet again. We've been fooled once again. But Leigh, I suppose, just in closing, any final thoughts on what this really says about society's degradation into playing victimhood in order to try to just go with the status quo of what the government is pushing, and to try to personally benefit from other people's demise.
Absolutely. Like you said, we're living in victimhood status, and everyone will try to gain as much as possible and use that to to their advantage, except for maybe people like me and you. We aren't victims, and I don't know. I don't tend to think I am, and even if I was, I wouldn't stage something so cowardly. But yeah, I hope everyone got a refund. I hope everybody got a refund from that GoFundMe.
Yeah, no doubt they did. I believe they raised $900 from good Canadians who contributed to a good worthy cause. But thankfully they got their money back. In fact, it's also been revealed that this place isn't even all that serious about their Jewishness, I guess you could say. Look at this. This just came out from That's Kosher.com. Winnipeg, Manitoba loses 2 kosher restaurants. Which one? Ooh, the Beer Max Cafe last year opened in Winnipeg nearly 4 years ago and decided to drop its kosher certification just after Rosh Hashanah this year, citing higher costs. They just can't afford to be kosher anymore. They decided to not be kosher because they can't afford it. They don't even care, Leigh, about their own, Jewish roots or beliefs. It was clearly just a virtue signaling, staging this in an attempt to, play the victim so that they could make a little bit of money and maybe even drum up this race war that the Canadian government is often just drooling over and pounces on to create new laws and bills. So anyways, folks, just wanted to bring that to your attention. Beware of these phonies, these hoaxes, trying to drum up this race war out there. It does happen. It's happening in Canada. We've caught it a number of times now, and we're going to continue to expose this if we ever find it happening again. So please click the thumbs up button. Share this one with your friends and family. Let them know that this is a real thing that happens here in Canada. People do fake this stuff. But we're not being fooled by it. So I want to thank you for watching. Once again, please click the thumbs up button, share this video, and stay tuned. This is Dan Dix and Leigh Stuart reporting for Press for Truth. Stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.